Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Stuff I Heard podcast. I'm your host, Josh Peak, and I have Josh Treadaway here again. Say hi, Josh.
Hey,
Um, we were just talking about internet speeds and how providers are somehow laggy in certain areas where they don't need to be. And for anybody out there who's listening, like if you have a problem with your internet speed, one of the things to consider is if you have gotten a modem from your provider within the last couple of years, it's worthwhile to call them up and say, "Hey, I'm having problems with my modem. Do you have a new box that I could transfer, swap this out with?" Because a lot of times the technology is updated yearly, and they do have better equipment that may be smaller and it may be quicker. Um, just like anything else, just think about your cell phone and how it changes every year and how it gets better. You do have that option of letting them know, "Hey, I'm having problems with this and I shouldn't be," and they'll go, "Oh yeah, yeah, we got this new thing, we'll just swap it out for you." And they're happy to swap it out for you because that means you're probably going to be happy as a customer. If you're not happy, look around in your area to see who a better provider is, because especially for like Treadaway, who lives in Myrtle Beach, there's lots of options of providers out there who are going to be competing for his money. They want you as a customer because that's money coming in. So they're going to offer you a better rate. They're going to offer you a better speed. They're going to offer you better product, whatever it is. They just like, come on in. We want you as a customer. So just something to consider.
the big thing right now that I'm actually looking is a lot of the new providers or the new contracts that they're offers guaranteed no throttling. I mean,
Yeah.
that's where you have a lot of problem because they do that on purpose to try to get you to upgrade your speeds.
And they've had to do that recently because of court cases having to deal with Apple and Verizon specifically. There's been court cases where they've had to come out and say, yes, we did actually slow down people's speed on purpose so that they would have to upgrade. And the courts found them in violation. So they can't do that anymore, which is why, you know, big picture, it does make an argument for why would you need an upgrade at a certain point if it's not for the new technology? And what is going to be the better technology that you want? Is it going to be a better camera? Is it going to be a faster processor? Is it going to be a better microphone or a better speaker? What is the thing that's going to sell you on? Like I have an iPhone 10 just because it was way better than the 6 I was using. So I went up, 4 grades higher. That was way better of a phone. But like I don't need a 12. Why would I need to upgrade to a 12? Or, you know, eventually they're going to come out with something where I'm like, oh, I can't pass this up. This is something I got to get. But right now I'm perfectly fine with what I've got. It does everything I need it to do. So
That was like my Samsung 7, my Android 7.
yeah,
I mean, I loved it. I did not want to get rid of it. Finally, I mean, I replaced the battery many times, and eventually it got to the point where it didn't work. It just did not want to charge or anything, so I had to upgrade.
yeah.
But I mean, I'm the same thing as you. I mean, like I have what I have now, and I don't need the new Galaxy 21 whatever. This works fine.
I wonder when they get up to a certain number, are they going to just like start over with like names instead? Like Xbox went from like the 360 to the one, and it's like, what you did? What is these cell phone companies going to do that? They'll come out with them and they'll just call it the Alpha, and it's like, yeah, we're gonna rename it, we're gonna code it into something cool. I mean, I don't know, just a thought. So it's been an interesting week. Lots of really bad television watched by me.
Really.
Yeah, really bad television.
So unlike last week where everything was great, this week was not so good.
No, yeah, well, there's a lot of misses. I did watch some like content talking about Star Wars, and one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was, I guess there was a live action Aladdin movie, and this guy Mina Masood is going to play Ezra Bridger. I saw images of him. He kind of looks like Ezra Bridger. I mean, very similar appearance. I don't know the guy. I haven't seen the movie. I don't know. Like other than seeing a still shot of him and Ezra right next to each other, I was like, okay, yeah, I could see that. That's all I know. That's it. I mean, so you and I talked about, we didn't actually talk about it on the podcast, but the Bad Batch is coming out May 4th. Loki is supposed to come out June 11th. So I went on this thing because it was highlighted on Netflix, of seeing the series of unfortunate events, the Lemony Snicket stories.
Okay.
It was a story for kids. And when my kids were little, they read these books. I read the first season, or the first, I guess you call it season, first section of books that came out, and it was okay. It was a lot of explaining big words to little children with a story that it was designed so that there wasn't supposed to be a happy ending. Like every story was like, it's called a series of unfortunate events. You know, this narrator, Melanie Snicket, would say, here's the story of these Baudelaire kids and the horrible things that happened to them. And if you're looking for a happy ending, this isn't for you. And if you're, it was sort of a new way of approaching a story for children. It was very smart the way it was written, and it was interesting as an adult to read it. So they came out with a movie a few years ago with Drew Carey playing Olaf. Count Olaf is this big cartoonish guy who's supposed to be the villain of the story. And then the movie did okay, but I guess there was the talks of doing more, and he didn't want to do it. Nobody really wanted another movie. People felt like the movie really didn't do the books justice. So Netflix took up the thing and said, "Hey, we'll make the series, sure." And Neil Patrick Harris played Count Olaf. Kind of a good fit. He's a kooky character. He's very easily adaptable into different roles. You could tell that there was parts of the show that they catered to him because he is a song and dance guy. He loves Broadway type stuff. He's been on Broadway as a singer and a dancer. And there's a few episodes in this where they really try to, highlight his talents, which is not a terrible idea. I mean, if you're trying to entertain everybody. But as a 46-year-old man watching this, I was like, all right, this is stupid. And there was a lot of it that was stupid. Now, there was a lot of it that was good. There was a lot of good actors that stepped up and portrayed roles throughout it. And I was pleasantly surprised at all the A-list actors that just happened to pop in playing different characters. I was like, whoa, did not see that person playing that role. That's pretty cool. But the show as a whole was just dumb. Like even the final ending, the way it ended, I was just like, that's just so stupid. Like the whole thing was stupid. So anyway, thumbs down. And I thought, okay, I've watched this stupid show enough, and I thought, let me watch something that's supposed to be like critically acclaimed, because there's people out there that call themselves experts, and they're like, this is a good movie. So I'm looking around, and on HBO, there's a movie called Dunkirk. It's about a really horrible battle that happened, and when the previews came out, I remember it coming to all because it was previewed when football was on, and that was the only time I actually have regular TV. So there was all these commercials about Dunkirk, and this is going to be quite an amazing movie. And I watched maybe an hour and a half, and for a good hour and a half is this somber note that someone's like leaning on a keyboard of this ominous sound, and it's just everything's horrible. The whole thing's horrible. That should have been called a series of unfortunate events. I mean, I know it was one of the bloodiest battles ever, where people were trying to get away and they were air bombed, and there was nothing good about it. I turned it off. I was like, I can't watch this. I stopped watching.
You didn't finish it?
No, I walked away from it, and that's rare for me. I'm usually a stick it out kind of guy. I'm like, let's see where this train wreck goes. Nope. I checked out of the train wreck. I was like, I don't care. I walked away.
Wow.
Didn't care.
That's pretty impressive, because
two thumbs down. 2 thumbs down. Okay, so then I wanted to watch something I knew I liked. So I watched Ready Player One.
Okay.
I mean, come on. It's a feel-good movie.
How can you go wrong?
And I'd only seen it, like, I saw it at the theater, and then I saw it when it came out, I think originally to whatever access that we got. And I was like, great. So I hadn't seen it since then. It's been a while. So I watched it again, and I was like, it's still good. Everything in it is still good. It's still great. All the characters are surprisingly great. The story is phenomenal. The special effects are bonkers. I mean, the fact that Steven Spielberg got a hold of it and was just like, yeah, let's just throw a pile of money at this, and it works. Like, everything in it is worth it. All of the actors, all of the cinematography, all of the everything is totally worth it. Like, I heard that the book apparently was on like a bidding war for them to make this screenplay. And Steven Spielberg was like, back the Brinks truck up and dump money in there. And they were like, okay, it's worth it. It is great. It is a feel-good, fun movie about friendship, about overcoming obstacles.
And a whole bunch of great 80s and 90s references.
A whole bunch of cool
video
flashback stuff to
games.
video games and movies and music. It's great.
It's just a great feel good movie.
It's
Period.
fun, and it's also about living your life, like taking opportunity by the hands and going, yeah, I missed my chance with this girl. I didn't kiss her when I should have. I didn't dance when I should have. I didn't the regrets, you know. You get the thing that you fully want at the end. He wins the spoiler alert. He wins the contest and there's like, here, sign here, and you get all of this. And he's like, wait, this is all wrong. Like this isn't what you want. Like this is another test. He realizes it, whereas everybody else would have failed. This one kid gets it. And it's like, of course. Live your life. It's not about greed. So made me feel good. That was my feel good movie.
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up. I watched a lot of crap though, so I kind of want to run down this because I know we're going to get to WandaVision, folks. Just hang on.
It's coming. This is the amuse-bouche.
So then I watched The Dig. The Dig is a movie on Netflix right now with Ray Fiennes. He's like an archaeologist who just before World War II is in England, and he gets hired by this rich lady to dig up land that they have a feeling that there's something buried there. There's a giant mound of dirt, and they're like, this is an ancient burial ground of some kind. Don't know what it is. And this is basically the story of this one guy who never got credit for finding this ancient dig, how he did it. And it's pretty interesting, but also thumbs down. Boring. Like it was on and I'm like, what else can I do? And I have my Game Boy out and I remember my Switch and I'm playing Animal Crossing because I'm like, this is so stupid. They did a fine job of it. Don't get me wrong. It's just not for me. So then after watching that, I went to, I had to change the oil. Okay. So I had to change the oil in my wife's Nissan Murano. She has a 2019 Nissan Murano. We had to buy this car because of some circumstances with a job. And because of the job, she was going to have to put like 30,000 miles a year on this vehicle. So part of the deal of them with this vehicle was they were going to pay for her oil changes. And she was taking it to Jiffy Lube and they were taking care of it. And I was like, at 30,000 miles, I mean, I might be changing the oil like every weekend or every 2 weekends. This is ridiculous. And she was like, I'll take it there. They'll take care of it. I was like, okay. So job's done. She's starting a new job. Now it's time for an oil change. And she had taken hers to Jiffy Lube one time after this job, and they charged her over $100. And when she came home, she said, they told me that my battery, there's something wrong with my battery, that there's corrosion on the terminals. And she says, the car's not even a year old. This was like a year ago. She's like, the car's not even a year old. And I was like, well, let's look at it. So I popped the hood and looked at it. Battery looks brand new. There's no corrosion anywhere. There's no signs of that the engine's even been touched. And I was like,
Jiffy Lube is the timeshare of oil change companies.
So like there was a guy that used to run the one she went to all the time that she liked, and he was a nice guy and he took care of her. And when she had other vehicles with companies that they took care of, they're just fine. Didn't give her any hassle. New guy in there. He's trying to upsell everything. And they tried to hoodoo her. And she was like, I'm not falling for it. She brought it home and showed me. I took a photo of it and I said, look at here. I said, your battery is brand new looking. So she sent a letter to the corporate office of Jiffy Lube and said, I just want you to know this location is trying to rip people off and I'm never using you guys again because of this one experience. So I went to go change the oil, looked up videos online. It's super easy to change the oil. Not a big deal. Synthetic oil only costs $3 more at Walmart to buy synthetic versus regular oil. Synthetic does make your engine last a little bit longer.
Get the synthetic for sure.
So I only spent $36 for oil and an air filter and an oil filter. The air filter, the vehicle needs to be changed every 5,000 miles. The air filter probably only every 10. So I just went ahead and bought it because I looked at hers and it needed to be changed. So $36 versus $100 and something. It took me maybe 30 minutes to figure out how, to do it and figure out how. And my first time doing it, next time I do it, it'll probably take me a lot less. Super easy. Okay. So online, it says the motor takes 5.1 quarts. That's not 5 plus 1. It's 5.1. They put 6.5 quarts in this thing. When I drained the oil out, there was 6.5 quarts of oil.
Yeah, because they're always going to get you the extra one and charge you the extra. They always do that. Every oil place I've ever been, they always tell you they need an extra quart, and it's not necessary.
They're overfilling there's a danger to overfilling your engine with more oil than it needs, because it then clogs up your engine and all of your pistons get it's a big no-no. So they put more oil in it than they needed to. When I crawled under it, there is a skid plate underneath that has these little push pins, little plastic push pins.
Mhm.
They apparently had broken two of them and just didn't tell her and didn't fix it. And I was just like, really, you turkeys? So I had to go buy some new push pins. Um, got the oil change done. Went to look underneath the hood and kind of check the other fluids, make sure everything's okay. Opened up her power steering fluid, and it didn't even touch the dipstick on her power steering. And I was like, wait a second. I've had my truck since 2013. What's that? 8 years? 8 years. I've never had to add power steering fluid to my engine. It's always been at the level. And I thought, well, I've never checked this when she bought it. But all these times she's taking it to them to have the thing changed, and they're supposed to check all the fluids. Like, I had to take pliers to get the lid off of this thing. It was so tight. I'm like, did nobody ever put extra power steering in this thing ever? So
No,
I had
they
to
say
go.
they do. They say they check all the fluids. They don't check any of them.
So apparently, like with newer vehicles, there is some special kind of fluid that you need for import vehicles, because it's a different ratio of some synthetic stuff that they put into it. So I had to buy this one bottle of stuff. It took a quarter of the bottle to get it to where it would measure on the dipstick. And I'm like, geez, how dangerous is that? I mean, God. So anyway, thumbs down to Jiffy Lube. You guys suck. Thumbs up to YouTube for sharing some really great videos. There's a lot of great people who made really helpful videos. One guy went way above and beyond. He like took the tire off, and I was like, "The hell are you doing that for? You can reach everything, you know." So anyway, um, just wanted to kind of get that out of me. So I got back inside, and I'm looking for something to watch, because it's not, because we delayed this. We normally do this on Monday, but we delayed it, and I was like, I need to watch something to sort of, I don't know, cleanse my palate a little bit. So I started watching this thing called Amend: The Fight for America. It's hosted by Will Smith. It's on Netflix, and it talks about the 14th Amendment, and it talks about what America has gone through as a nation, whether it's through um, fighting for racial equality, fighting for same-sex marriage, fighting for women's rights, fighting for um, people who come to the country and seek citizenship. I mean, it's all this, what it means to be an American, and what we've gone through as a nation in such a short period of time. And there are parts of it that, like, after I finished the first two episodes, I turned it off, and I had to take a break, and I got super depressed after watching it, because I thought, man, so much of this is still going on today, and we are still healing as a nation, and we still don't, most of us don't have the right vocabulary or memory to help each other move forward. There's still a generation of people, especially here in the South, who are so locked into this idea of it's us versus the world, and they all just out to get us. And it's this weird fear that someone's going to take what you have because they look different than you, or they talk different than you, or they have a different belief than you. And it really made me sad. I did start it up again today. I watched the rest of it. There are some uplifting episodes, but it is still that path of always fighting to have your voice heard, or to have your feelings understood, or to have your rights as a human being given to you by people who don't look like you and don't care about you and think of you as the enemy. And it's just, it's amazing how far we've come, and yet also how far we still have to go.
Mm.
So I recommend that to a lot of people. It's not going to make you feel happy about yourself. It's not going to make you feel a warm fuzzy about who you are. It's going to make you more empathetic. It's going to make you maybe give a crap about someone who is going through some hardship.
Well, the world needs that right now.
The world needs that right now.
We need empathy for our fellow man, no matter, you know, what race, color, creed, religion, or whatever the case may be.
I have a family reunion this weekend where I'm going to visit some family, and they are blindly in the wrong direction, many of them. And there's nothing that I can do to change that. It's difficult. My mom is getting a Lifetime Achievement Award for something to do with Frances Marion on Thursday at the Performing Arts Center. And I saw something on Spotify's Twitter account that said that this is National Women's Awareness Month or Women Empower Month or something like that. And it said, tell us about people who have inspired you. And of course, right away, you know, she's my number one person who's inspired me as far as what a woman can do. And I thought about the fact that my mom was born in the 50s and didn't really have a right to vote until she became of age to vote. Like if she was born any earlier, her voice would have never been heard accurately. If
the
she
world
had
was
not,
their place for it.
yeah, if she had not been raised by a group of rough, rebellish kind of people, she wouldn't have had the attitude to fight against it and to push for better and to fight for education and realize along the way that education was the pathway for her and for a lot of people who are in a similar situation to have a voice and to have a way of life and to be able to provide for their families. And she said that this Thursday she's going to have to give a speech. They're going to present her with this award and she has to give a speech and she wants me to be there. She said, "You're part of my speech." And I know the speech. I know the speech because I've lived it.
Well, I was gonna say, you lived it. I mean, it's
Yeah.
her life. It's her examples that she set and the things that she went through to get to where she's at and the things that you guys did to allow her to be able to be that person.
Well, in the beginning, like it was literally an option of the state of Georgia needed nurses so bad they were giving tuitions to anybody who made the grade and would keep the grade up as long as you worked at a hospital that they were in desperate need of nurses for at least a year to 2 years. And she signed up for that. And she knew that everything depended on her doing well in school. But there was also all these other things involved. There was keeping the household going. There was, you know, we had roommates. She was raising me by herself. I mean, there was a lot of that going on where at school she had to have a code because they would post grades, but they didn't post your name. They just wanted it randomly shown, but you had to have a code. And she put up a code that basically deciphered it was Deb and Josh's future. That was kind of the code. It was a series of words, but no one knew what it was. But that was her idea of this is everything. This is what it's going to take. This is what I got to do. And watching this show sort of reminded me of the fact that there were a lot of nights where she came home and said, "I had to watch a patient die today because a doctor told me a nurse doesn't have the right to tell him that the treatment is wrong." And it changed the way she saw things and the way that she then went back to school to get more education so she could have more of a voice so patients wouldn't suffer. And she's like, this whole thing about how we're supposed to be there to help people. And a lot of times doctors are so aloof and in their own head about what they think is right. They don't pay attention to what's being told to them by everybody who's taking care of the patient. And it just reminded me of the fact that for a long time, women's voices just didn't matter. They were furniture. They were additives. They were to make babies, and that was it. I mean, watching this show, there was a whole episode about, you know, women's rights and how the 14th Amendment applied to them. And it says that 100 years ago, women were expected to have around 10 children on average. And now, you know, I think
they support that, you know, because the women didn't work.
It was institutionalized slavery, basically. It was a theology of your purpose is to give life, and that's it, and to provide a home. And it was justified in this patriarchal idea that men would go off and they would do dangerous things and they would take care of the little lady. And I mean, it's so interesting, though. There's parts of it that reminds me that ignorance is bliss, and sometimes it's better to be a dummy and just go, "Hey, everything's fine, man." You know. So then we have WandaVision, which actually just makes me happy. I mean, like I was saying before, the first 3 episodes I thought were garbage. Now I'll go, that was actually pretty genius the way you did it. Big reveal. I don't know. I kind of want you to take the helm on this.
Well, the big reveal is the end. I mean, she just lets out this matter creating scream. I
Yeah.
mean, basically, I mean, it's just she's quite possibly the most powerful person on the universe.
So there is a moment where Agatha calls her the Scarlet Witch.
Right.
And it's the first time she's been referred to as the Scarlet Witch in the Marvel Universe. Up to this point, she's just been Wanda Maximoff. Everybody's referred to her as Wanda. No one has used the reference Scarlet Witch. This episode was, sort of, we looked at the last episode as a look back at who Agatha was and the fact that we see her being surrounded by what looks like her coven.
Right. Her mother and her coven of witches, yes.
Her mother and her coven, and they are scolding her for looking at the dark arts. And she's like, it wasn't me. It was like, I couldn't help it. It was just there, and it brought itself to me. And then there's a moment where all the witches try to take her down, and she absorbs their power. And then her mother tries to take her out, and she's like, okay, but this is how it's going to go. And she takes her power. And after her dead body's laying on the ground, she goes and picks up her brooch, and she's like, I'll take that from you. And that sort of, to me, that is the crowning jewel that she wears to show that she's supposed to be the biggest and baddest witch of them all. And there's a moment where she realizes that Wanda is the Scarlet Witch, and she says, you're supposed to be a myth.
Right.
So in this episode, we do see a lot of flashback from Wanda because Agatha takes her on this psychological tour of her life and shows her as a child watching the television movies with her family, trying to ignore the fact that their area was under attack. We see her family being killed and her and her brother hiding underneath a couch that is flipped over and their house in ruin and their family dead. And they're watching the television waiting for this bomb to go off that never does. And this hardship and this strife that she's been through, Agatha makes a comment. She's like, here you were, a baby witch, and you didn't even know it. But this couldn't have been the thing that gave you that kind of power. What was the thing that gave you this power? And then they see the moment where she volunteers to work for Hydra and to be experimented with, and she gets locked in the room with the staff from Loki, and that, I don't know what you call it.
It's the Mind Stone.
The Tesseract Mind Stone thing comes loose from the staff and like somehow opens up, and she sees this figure, this woman's figure, and this bright yellow light comes at her, and then it's gone, and now she has these powers. But it's there's still that fogginess. I like the fact that Marvel is smart enough to give you enough fogginess to go, we're not going to show you everything yet. Just hang on. Like, we're going to show you enough to get you through this part, but just there's a plus to not giving everything right away. Like we've talked about that in Star Wars.
It's conversation. It's the fact that they know they're going to draw you in because you want to watch more.
There's enough, especially like in Star Wars. We talked about, Obi-Wan's conversation with Luke, where he's in A New Hope, where he's having the conversation about Anakin, and there's enough pauses and things not said that you go, oh, there's gaps there, and you're going to find out about the gaps, but it's going to be
and then
30 hours worth of content.
The first time you hear the words, I am your father, I mean, It was just mind-blowing.
Yeah. And, this, she says, you are the Scarlet Witch. You're supposed to be a myth.
Exactly. Yeah. And then it just ends, and now we're waiting.
So she's drawn apparently to this power. Like, she's always been drawn to power. Agatha's always been, wherever there's a large bit of, witch power or whatever, she's drawn to it. And I read enough online to know that she and Wanda do become allies for a while until they fight against each other at a certain point. Agatha will become, in a lot of ways, her best friend and help her understand her power a little bit better, but will become an adversary. Now, I did see some fan stuff on YouTube where they talked about how they felt that perhaps the different Pietroff was brought in because this breaks into a different version of what they're
right.
A different reality, a different multiverse.
That's the key, is the multiverse thing, I believe.
Yeah.
There's rumor, and again, it's just, obviously rumors only, but the next episode, which I believe is going to be the final episode of the season, there's going to be another character revealed that's going to come in. And I have a friend of mine who has it on a strong authority that he knows who it is. I've read a little bit about it, and I'm pretty sure as well. No spoiler alert, I expect to see Doctor Strange.
See, that's what a lot of people have said too, is I've heard it maybe 1 or 2 episodes. Because we're at number 8 now. This is number 8 that just came out. So if they went 10, that's cool. If they go 9, that's not unexpected from Disney to just go, yeah, we're going to do that many. I mean, just whatever. But Doctor Strange is coming out. Like apparently his movie is getting ready to come out. What, in like 2 weeks? 2 months? 2 months?
Weeks, yeah, something like that. I want to say it's in April.
And so we saw in Avengers, whenever he's trying to devise a way to defeat Thanos, he goes into his very fast forwarded million different ways to defeat Thanos, and only one of them works, of him trying out different things with the Mind Stone, or the Time Stone, excuse me. We don't know what the effects of that are. Like, that's still a part that leaves open to interpretation, which is a very interesting thing. I mean, because that then again leads right into Star Wars Rebels, with going into the mountain, and you've got the multi-planes, multi-dimensions, and he interacts where he's not supposed to save Ahsoka from being killed by Anakin as Darth Vader. I mean, that moment changes everything for Star Wars. That moment changes everything for the storyline, for everything that's to come, for the possibilities of what's going to come. I mean, you and I've talked about the fact that, you know, we hear people talk all the time about a multiverse, and what if there was multiple versions of us? What if there is one version of us that were, you know, XYZ or whatever? And I mean, it's not unheard of.
No.
I mean, it's crazy.
There's millions of planets out there in this universe, and we've got just our galaxy, many galaxies as well. I mean, what if there is an actual equal, you know, representation of us?
Yeah.
In a different galaxy that's the exact same, you know, it's the Earth of that galaxy, and there's, you know, people there that are living the same life as us.
It's interesting to think about, but it's also a good escape from reality. I mean, because let's face it, reality can be overwhelming at times.
Yeah.
So, couple things I wanted to get your opinion on, because I've sort of read into this, but I don't know if it's true or not. There's some people that watch the end of WandaVision where Vision is re-energized, and he's completely white. He has like the whitish, bluish, like almost ice eyes. There's some people that believe that he is going to be Silver Surfer. There are some people that believe that this ties into another Marvel book where he is completely void of any memories or emotions of who Vision is and what he means to anybody, that he is just a sentient being. There's a lot of different theories as to what that means. The light on his forehead looks like the arc reactor that Tony Stark made, the one that's like triangular. Mm-hmm. After he had the one that was circle, he came out with that triangular one. So there's a lot of people that are like, okay, does the arc reactor mean that Stark is involved in this? I mean, there's a lot of theories.
Well, I mean, there's, you know, I mean, you saw that the Stark missile was the one that basically, you know, helped kill her parents. Yeah. So, I mean, it's always the Stark tie-in, but I hadn't heard that theory.
And there's also the fact that, you know, Monica Rambeau is like, that was the ending of episode 7, was Monica Rambeau being met by Pietroff, and we'd seen a little bit of her power. And, you know, even Agatha makes a comment of the fact that you're doing all of this at the same time. You have so many simulations going on miles from here. You even created life. I mean, she created the Vision that we see. It's not that she stole Vision like we were previously shown from a video. Remember the government guy showed Monica Rambeau a video of her breaking in and taking him. And it's not that. Like, we saw her burst this energy from this house that they apparently had, and you know, they were going to build a house on this property, and she imagined everything right from Westview at that moment, like you said, that big burst of energy. But she created Vision from nothing, just like superpower, sentient thought, everything, and then created children the same way. I mean, it's like, what? So, I'll be the first to say I didn't know enough about the Scarlet Witch or Wanda Maximoff or any of that story, because I wasn't that big of a comic nerd growing up, but I knew that when she arrived in the Marvel universe and people were geeking out online about it, I was like, who's a Scarlet Witch? Like, I don't get it. Why is that a big deal? I get it now.
Well, it leads into so many different avenues that they can go after this. I mean, you've got her sons who become part of the new Avengers, a young Avengers group later.
Yeah.
You've got, like you said, with Agatha, you've got this Doctor Strange, you've got the ties in with the Fantastic Four.
There's also a tie-in to Constantine.
Now that I didn't know.
There is a Marvel bridge that apparently is built between Agatha and the Scarlet Witch with Constantine, and there's also a tie-in with them with Magneto. I mean, this brings in that Marvel universe.
I mean, is Disney about to buy Fox?
I mean, they bought Marvel for a reason.
Because Fox has the other Marvel.
Fox had the other Marvel. Disney owns that. Yeah.
Oh, they have it on. I thought they still had X-Men.
Nope. They have it all.
I thought they still had X-Men.
Nope. That's why there was that whole upheaval over Deadpool, and they're like, is Deadpool going to stay R-rated? I mean, because that's kind of like necessary if you're going to have Ryan Reynolds.
You can't really do a Deadpool and not be R.
Right. Ryan Reynolds fought for Deadpool when nobody wanted to put any funding behind it. I mean, I think there was something stupid about he'd gotten the money and then they backed off of it, and they kept saying, we just can't do this R-rated, and if we do it, we can only make it for like a 10th of the budget. And he goes, fine. He said, make it for a 10th of the budget. He goes, but you're gonna back up the train on the next one. And they're like, there's not gonna be a next one. And then it was a home run, and they went, how much money do you want?
And to be perfectly honest, he plays it perfect because it's just his character. I mean, that's who he is. Like, he really didn't have to change much of who he was.
He got to break the fourth wall whenever he wanted, because I heard the big thing about, Deadpool was that he realized he was in a comic book, and at a certain point he just started having fun with it. He was like, nothing's gonna matter. It doesn't matter. You guys, just cut scene. Good. Let's go to the next one. Like, he would just make things happen in the comic because he was just aware of his own presence and his own being, which makes it even more hilarious if he joins this.
Well, I mean, anything Deadpool is going to join is going to make it hilarious.
What if he comes in?
It's a possibility. And there's lots of different ways. Like I said, with what they just did, the way they're doing it, and also on the timeline of the multiverse with using Doctor Strange, because apparently she has one of his books.
Yeah.
That's supposedly how it's supposed to come, is Agatha has one of the books that belongs to the council. Because remember we discussed one time that there was a hexagon in her basement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, apparently she used the hexagon to steal one of the books from the council.
That would definitely bring him into it. Who else would it bring into it?
That brings in Doctor Strange, which brings in the Doctor Strange movie, which he's supposed to bring in all kinds of credit. And then there's also the possibility of the multiverse coming in, the new Spider-Man No Way Home.
Okay, so I have to do some homework. That's going to be what I'm going to do between now and next week, because I got to watch these damn Spider-Mans with what's his name? Tom
Holland.
Tom Holland. Yeah, I got to watch these Spider-Mans because I haven't watched any of them with him in it. When they kept remaking them, I was just like, they're just going to keep remaking them with new people. I don't care. But I didn't realize it was like a grand plan until he started popping up in all these Avenger stuff. And I'm like, all right, this kid's kind of cool. I guess I need to watch him. But I haven't watched him. And
it's Tom Holland's world.
A third. Yeah.
It's Tom Holland's world, and we just live in it. I mean, he's everywhere.
Apparently, he's like a big deal.
He's a huge deal. A huge deal.
Apparently, he's a big deal. Yeah. So
and if you haven't ever watched the show Lip Sync Battle, YouTube his lip sync battle. It's amazing.
I hadn't seen his. I did watch it the first season though. Anne Hathaway's Wrecking Ball was pretty hilarious.
That was fantastic. My favorite, also, my favorite by far ever has been Kate Upton doing Britney Spears.
Oh yeah,
She made Britney Spears look bad compared to what she did.
that's pretty cool. I mean, it's always easier to make it up as you go along afterwards, but especially you can have fun with it.
Now, the best fun one I've seen, I like John Krasinski. He did Tina Turner.
Oh yeah,
Rolling, and he had the dress on and everything. I mean, it was fantastic.
that's nuts.
But yeah, check out the Tom Holland one. He starts off really, you're like, where's this going? And then it completely goes a different way. And you're like, wow, this guy's really talented.
I just realized that the biggest people hit by coronavirus is probably karaoke guys. I mean, think about it. There was like whole bars and things set up for karaoke night, and that involves, here, you hold the microphone now. And it's like, none of that's happening.
Well, you're a karaoke guy, so you tell me how you feel about it.
I haven't sang karaoke since we were at the beach.
Really?
How many years ago was that? That 2 years ago? That was the last time. That was the last time I did karaoke. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was in June or July of 2 years ago.
That was the last time I went.
When you were at the place over at Socastee?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, new shirt, by the way.
I noticed.
Just representing.
Beautiful.
Yeah. My wife, she went online, and listen, for anybody looking for Disney merch, you're not going to find what you want at Disney for the right price. Look online at Shop Disney. You're going to find a lot of the shirts that they have discounted. Today I watched a TikTok where a lady went to a Target that was near Disney, and it had everything that Disney had for sale way cheaper. And I was like, holy crap, I didn't even know about this Target. I need to go to this Target next time we're down there. Because it was like a lot of the stuff they had, but some of it was even better made for a cheaper price. And I was like, oh, geez, I missed out. So anyway, I think she found this one for like half of what it cost at Disney. And I was like, heck yeah, baby. That's awesome. She's like, you need some new shirts. All your shirts are getting like old, and that's fair. I mean, who'd have thought at 46?
That's when they feel better.
Guy.
But that's when they feel better, as they're worn in and gotten kind of a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
And
but it's also because I tend to like, I'll have a meal and everything immediately goes right here. like I'll just take a bite and I'm like, oh, really? Got this brand new shirt, man. So, a lot of my shirts though there was time to retire them. They were looking sad. Matter of fact, I changed oil in a Mr. Incredible shirt. My wife's like, that one looks brand new. I said, I've worn it once. She was like, what? I said, I wore it we did some kind of costume thing, and I wore it then. I said, I haven't worn it since, but it still fits. I said, but it's worth changing the oil in. She was like, all right. I mean, it is what it is. She's like, you had that old Boba Fett one. I was like, you shut your mouth.
No. there is no change in the oil in the Boba.
That one does have the most stains on it though. And it still gets washed and hung up, but
it looks like his armor.
There is, I used it to paint and stain and cut grass, and it's got paint and weird stains all over it.
It's like his armor. It's a little bit worn out.
I guess that's how she thought about the change in the oil too. And I was like, no, that's still a classic. I gotta still wear that one. That's one of my older ones. Actually, I've got one. It's like a gray shirt with just like Star Wars written on it and the Millennium Falcon. And we were looking at pictures that we have online, and there's a picture of us on a cruise over 10 years ago. And I'm wearing that shirt. And she goes, you still have that shirt? I said, yeah, it still looks good. I think I bought it at Target for like $5. I was walking through and I was like, $5 Star Wars shirt for me. The Boba Fett one I got at Old Navy for $5. They had a bunch of those old style T-shirts that they were just printing out for a while.
Yeah, the graphic tee stuff they were doing real cheap.
Yeah, and I walked through and I was like, a $5 Boba Fett shirt for me. So, yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, check out JC Penney. They're getting ready to go chapter 11, and so they got a bunch of stuff on sale, and they've got a bunch of like Star Wars graphic tee stuff, I believe. They
closed down in Florence, and when they did, they had a thing online saying, come by if you want to buy any racks or shelving. And I was like, what?
Oh, okay. They're completely closed.
So I went up there. I forget what for. I had to get something for my wife. Something. I don't know. I forget. Anyway, I walked in the entrance, and where their grand entrance used to be, they actually have drywall up covering the hole now where that entrance was, which
Oh,
is
wow.
creepy. Like when you walk in and it's like completely drywalled, and they're like, whoa, that's pretty drastic. Like you guys just like, let's board over this. I was like, wow, okay, you really wanted them gone. All right, cool. Apparently Belks is getting ready to file for Chapter 11
Yep.
too.
I've been getting on because of my new job. I've had to like dress up occasionally.
Yeah.
I've gotten a bunch of like ties and shirts, like ridiculous prices.
Listen, I got a recommendation. Check eBay.
Okay.
I know it sounds weird, but people are buying that stuff at some of these where they're going out of business, these bigger cities, and then they're turning around and selling them for just a slight profit of what they bought them for, but it's still like half of what you could get it for at the store. Because
Okay.
was it a couple years ago, I got some Ralph Lauren pants that I know that they cost $100 when they were at Belk's, and because I bought a pair before Rodney's wedding, because he had in his thing, denim pant, nice dress denim pants. And I kept telling my wife, what's a dress denim? And she goes, go to Belk's. Just if it's expensive, that's the one you want. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay. So, but I bought them and they were super comfortable. But then I liked them so much, I checked eBay, I want to say like a year later, and I got a pair for like $40. And I was like, okay, that's more what I'd expect to pay for that. I mean, and it was still probably for a profit from what it really cost. And it still had the tags on it and everything. It's brand new. It's just somebody bought them at a reduced price and was like, here, I'm selling these. So yeah, if you're looking for any kind of dress stuff, check eBay. It's one of those things I never think about, but they do have some good deals on there.
Makes sense. I mean, I get it. I just, I got the Belk app
Yeah.
because it allows me to scan things in the store. Because a lot of times it has like, up to 80% off and you don't know what it is. And instead of walking up to the cashier and bothering them, I just scan it. Well, at the same time, it also has the whole clearance shopping. And I'd look at all the different, stuff. And I've gotten like Kenneth Cole. Is that it?
Yeah.
I've gotten Kenneth Cole pants that were normally $95 for $20.
That's good. That's a really good price.
And it's if you purchase more than $49 on the clearance, it's free shipping as well.
Oh, sweet.
So yeah, if you download the Belk app or go on Belk online, because everything that's in the stores is also listed as well. Like I was talking to the cashier at the Belk here in Merle's Inlet. A lot of times when you scan the stuff in the store with the Belk app, you're getting a better price than what you would get at the store.
Oh, well, that's cool.
So if you got, if you got time, if you want to go into Belk over there at the mall and download the app, take it and scan it. I found a tie, really nice silk Italian tie. It was normally $79.95. I took it to the cash register and she said it'd be $40. I scanned it and it got me $18.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Dude, that's good.
So I actually did watch one thing this week that was new.
Okay.
And I want you to see if you have time to check it out and see what you think. CW has released a new show called Superman and Lois.
I saw a preview for that. Is it?
It's interesting.
Is it them? Is it them like older and they have a kid or something?
They have kids.
Okay.
And I don't know. It was only the first episode. It just started.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of interested to see because where Superman left when his dad died and moved to Metropolis and became Superman.
Mm-hmm.
This is going a different direction. I don't want to spoil it for you, and I don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't watched it yet because this is the first episode. But I'm interested in seeing what you think of it. So maybe next week on our podcast, you can kind of let me know if you have time to watch it, what you think.
Okay. I'll have to look for it on our special app.
Yeah.
I'm winking with my bad eye.
I mean, obviously, that's where I watched it.
So looking through the previews, it looks like this is just my perception looking at the previews because this isn't giving anything away. It's just my perception. It looks like he's been Superman. He wants to step back and have a family, and they move back to like his home area on the farm, and they have like a normalish life. He's trying to live a normalish life. That's what it looks like. So I know that they did what it was either CW or WB that came out with Smallville.
Yeah, it was CW.
CW.
Well, I think it started off with WB. WB started it.
Yeah.
And then CW became what WB used to
And
be.
Smallville's entire pitch was, what is Superman like as a kid before he put on the suit? Like that was the whole thing. What is like we're never gonna show him in the suit. This is the story of who Superman was as a kid becoming Superman, but they're never gonna show him in the suit. And that was like their whole tagline of the show.
Up till about 3 or 4 years ago, when my sister came and stayed with us for a little while, and her kids fell in love with the show because they didn't have a cable out in there, but they were using the DVD player. So I gave them Smallville to watch because they wanted to check it out. I gifted them the full complete series because I had it all on DVD because it was one of my favorites. I mean, it was a fantastic show. I thought it was done really well. Later in the later on seasons got a little bit more kind of not so kid friendly.
Once Michael Rosenbaum left, right?
Huh?
Once Michael Rosenbaum left.
Well, Michael Rosenbaum was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, he
shout out to Michael Rosenbaum.
I mean, just
he has a hit podcast called Inside of You, where you can hear him interview his fellow co-stars, and he's kind of a neat guy. He's really, it's a really great podcast to listen to. But yeah, he said he left after a while because he was like, I kind of wanted to go in a different direction, and I felt like everything had been talked about. And there's a lot of people who said that once he left the show totally changed.
Well, then you had Marshall. I can't remember his first name right this minute, but he was Spike on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Mm-hmm. He kind of became a big deal on that show after Rosenbaum left. He started off as a character, basically Brainiac.
Okay.
Then he became the actual director of it and started writing all the episodes. And it got a little bit darker, but it was still a really great show. Yeah. And it went more into the whole Kryptonian side of.
So is CW? Maybe they're looking at their past hits and going, we got to write something. We need writers that are going to write something similar to these hits. So this is probably their effort towards that.
Well, they had to find something new because Supernatural's gone. Yeah. And that was the reason why people watched the CW anymore was Supernatural. You know, they used to have Dawson's Creek and all this, but now really they only had Supernatural. Arrow's gone. You know, that was one they had, and that's gone.
Is the Flash gone?
Flash supposedly supposed to come back actually this week. The new season starts supposedly this week.
I mean, those are all long shows. I mean, what was Supernatural over 20 seasons?
Supernatural, I think, was right around 20, yeah.
Yeah, and then Arrow is, I think.
Arrow's about 10 or 11, I think. The last season was just, me personally, I watched it just because I'd invested so much time in it. But I really was like, please end it now because I don't want to watch any more of this.
Well, even he said, like, because he was interviewed by Michael Rosenbaum on his podcast, he said, yeah, he goes after season whatever it was 7, he goes, I kept asking them to end it, and they were like, oh, but we got this new storyline. He's like, okay.
Well, they finally wrote him off as a character in a pretty good way with the whole Arrowverse. I mean, it was a crossover. I don't know if you've ever watched it or not, but it was a really good series. But they wrote him off basically, and then they tried to do another season with some other characters trying to bring in a younger crowd, and it didn't fit for me. Yeah. And I mean, like they may even try to spin it off to another series, but I won't watch it. Yeah. But yeah, Flash is coming back. I actually never got into really Supergirl except for when they did the crossover episodes and she was in it.
I watched the first 3 seasons of Supergirl on purpose.
On purpose.
I liked it. I was like, this is cool. Although it got soap opera-y, but I liked it. I thought it was an interesting take on Supergirl. I mean, this is an interesting storyline. Well, but they did get a little funky there for a while. It was just like, all right, you guys are just somebody's trying a little too hard to make this.
That was, to me, if I wanted to watch comic relief like that, I would watch the DC's
Doom Patrol.
No, not Doom Patrol. Like that. But no, they
that's funny.
Oh, what is it? The one where they're traveling through time. Legends of Tomorrow.
I hadn't seen that one.
That's good comic relief. It's just a fun, silly show.
I think that's on HBO right now. If anybody wants to watch it on their platform, Legends is on there, and Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol's hilarious.
DC's Legends of Tomorrow, because that's a CW show. Yeah,
it's on. I guess because HBO has rights to them or something.
Okay,
HBO has rights to all kinds of stuff. We've been watching Big Bang almost every night before we go to bed. they bought the rights, I guess, to whoever owns them and
Well,
and
basically,
Friends.
what it is, I think now what's going on is all these different platforms are basically getting the rights to all these things, and it's just you're going to pick which platform you choose to use.
Yeah.
I
I read
mean,
something online that said that all of the original cast of Friends still receive $100 million a year in royalties.
I don't doubt it. Remember back in the day when they were talking about the Seinfeld? I mean, they were getting money just from royalties from the what's it called? I'm going to get a brain fart here. But like in syndication,
Yeah.
like when TBS buys it and they put it on, they get a piece of that.
Yeah.
Same thing with Friends. Friends is, I mean, for a while there, Friends was on TBS every single day on rerun, like syndication.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, Aaron Sorkin, and Danny DeVito still get money from Twins. He talked about it on a podcast. I think he was on the Nerdist channel where he talked about
they shouldn't have got paid for that movie in the first place.
He said that nobody wanted to make it. He said, I wanted to get into comedy. And he said, me and Danny had the script. We brought Aaron Sorkin and he loved it. And he said, nobody wanted to make it. He said, so we took it to, I forget who ended up doing it. I think it was Miramax maybe, but they took it to him and they said, listen, this is going to take, we're not going to take any money. This is going to take $20 million total to make. And we guarantee you'll get your money back or we'll pay the money. And if it doesn't make whatever, but listen, because you guys don't want it, if it makes anything over 20 million, then we get the profits. And they were like, this is never going to work. Fine. And they signed off on it. And it's been he says that's still the biggest financial windfall he's ever had. He said, I made more money from Twins than I did from all of my Terminator movies, all my movies combined. He's like, he said, Twins have made me more money than anything.
It's one of the worst good movies he's ever made.
It's really funny still, though. If you go back and watch it now, it's still funny.
Funny enough, it actually was on about 2 weeks ago. I was laying on the couch and just trying to go to sleep, and I just put it on just for mindless dribble. And next thing I knew, I watched the whole thing.
Yeah. So I've had people telling me that they're watching a map of Tiny Perfect Things, and everybody who calls me tells me that it's lovely. So big shout out again. I want to keep talking about the movie until everybody sees it. Great movie on Amazon. Can't miss it.
I will be rewatching it tonight because I've talked Chrissy into watching it with me, and tonight is the night she decided to watch. So we're cooking dinner and watching the movie tonight. So
my wife still won't watch it, but
she still won't watch it.
No,
she would love it.
It's hard to get her to sit down for very long.
Well, I understand.
You've met her, you know.
Little firecracker.
Yeah.
A lot of balls of energy.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot going on, you know. Her job, she has to get up kind of early to get ready and get into her job. And then her job's kind of stressful right now. She's still learning a lot, and there's a lot of self-doubt on, you know.
But it's on her part only. I mean, I'm sure that the people at work are still like, wow, you're picking up this stuff really fast.
They are, but she doesn't focus on that. She expects to like know how to do everything way quicker than she's supposed to, but it'll be fine. She's fully capable. And I know it's overwhelming, but it's just sort of getting kicked in the gut right now as far as like her expectation level and what she thinks she should do. And I don't know, it's going to take longer than she thinks, but it'll be fine.
It'll still be shorter than they expected it to take.
Oh yeah.
It won't be up to her standards, but it'll be above their standards. That's just
right.
That's just how it goes.
Right. I mean, there are certain people in this world that expect more out of themselves, me included. I mean, every time I do anything, I'm like, that could have been better. I mean, the only thing that really startled me was this stupid furniture, man. I don't know what it is. I'm still amazed that I made this crap. So
hey, it's holding up well.
Everything else I've done in my life, I'm like, I could have done better with that. This crap, I just stay back and go, who built that? That wasn't me. It had to be somebody else. I made a shelf for my buddy Danny, and he put it up in his house, and he was like, this is literally the nicest thing I have in my whole house. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I've never built one before. And he goes, I'm telling you, you could get like $200 for this thing. And I was like, I wouldn't even know how to price this. And he was like, how rare is the wood? I said, it's special because it's the sister piece to the podcast table. It's the other side. And he was like, seriously? And I was like, yeah, man, it's, you know, you said, make me a shelf and I wanted it to be cool. So here you go. He was like, dude. I was like,
That's
I was like,
pretty cool.
listen, but they don't make any more of that. Like, that's it. It's all gone. Like it's hard to find those rare pieces.
And ironically, those who don't already know that listen to the podcast, he does a podcast and it's called
Stuff I Kind of Care About. But
and it's just odd.
That is done.
Oh, it's done?
He's actually starting a new one called The Sonderlings.
Okay.
It's very cool. He's actually his brain operates on a different level for creativity. Like he is, if I get stagnant in creating stuff, I need to go hang out with him for a day because he suddenly jumpstarts all of my creativity. I don't know what it is. He was talking the other day about wanting to write a book, and he said, I got this little kit, and I think I took a picture of the kit because I thought this is kind of a cool way to start. I don't know where he found it, but the name of it is, I deleted it. Seriously? Why did I delete it? I was going to send it to somebody. Where's my deleted folder? It's this kit that basically has, you open it up and it's got cards inside of it. And there's little ways that you can put the cards together to sort of give you ideas about how to create a story from nothing. It's basically an outline helper.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So, and it's like, it's this creative little thing that just, it has questions. Which scenario would you prefer? Would you like this or would you like this? Would you like this or would you like this?
So it's thought provoking to make you kind of so you don't get writer's block or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. And it gives you ideas of where to go, with your story. So if you have zero idea of what you want to do, you just flip this open, and I'll get the information from him and find out what it is. But you flip this open and it's got little cards, and they're color coded, and it says, how does this relate to this? Now put one of these cards with this one, and there's your story. Like there's your outline.
And you just start out with that.
And it has to do with characters and conflicts and what kind of outcome you want of the scenario. And honestly, he presented them in front of me without telling me what it was. And I kept looking at it and going, well, this would be easy to explain, but I don't want to go easy. I want to go hard. Let's do it this other way. And it's sort of like when you start answering those questions for yourself or out loud, then you go, wait, this is how my stupid brain works? Like, and he goes, it's really interesting to watch you do that versus, he goes, everybody does it differently. He goes, but you actually looked at it and went, I don't want to go the easy way. Let's do it the hard way. And I'm like, Marine Corps. That's been the story of my life. How can I do it really hard? Oh, I'll figure it out.
If I do it the hard way, then
it'll be way more interesting.
Well, not just that, but you know that you can do it any other way. Like if you do it the hard way to start, you know that there's no other way that you can do it that's going to make it worse.
To me, dancing is like that. When you show up to dance, like the movie Ants. I don't know if you ever watched Ants. They're like, it's time to dance, and they all have to walk in a certain way. It's like line dancing. They're all doing the same thing. And I watched that, and it's like marching in a formation. Anytime I had to march, I kept hearing that in my head going, yeah, just do it like everybody else, sucker, and nothing, I've never wanted to do everything like anybody else. Like there's a song by David Wilcox. It's an old song. It's like, I think it's called Leave It Like It Is. And it talks about how a guy spilled a paint jar off the table. When it hit the floor, it made this beautiful pattern on canvas. And he was like, instead of cleaning it up, wait, just don't touch it. It's beautiful just the way it is. Let's frame it and put it on the wall. And the rich folks will come over for dinner, and they all want one of their own, and they'll say, how much? Who's the artist? And what a beautiful home. He goes, sometimes the most beautiful things are accidents. Sometimes the most beautiful things are the tragedy. I read a book years ago called They Whisper, and it talks about how it's not the things in us that are common that we find beautiful or enduring. It's those rarities, those defects that we then go, that's why I like that person. That's the thing that makes them who they are, not because they conform to what society says they're supposed to be, but because it's interesting, because it's different, because it's beautiful in its own special little way. So for whatever it's worth, I mean, I guess that's how I've always visualized everything in life is I like different. I like odd. I like the thing that doesn't make any sense, making sense to me.
Hence our group and our friendships.
Exactly. None of it makes any sense, but I like it.
Well, to be perfectly honest, I think that's a great stopping point.
I do too. Thank you for doing this with me, by the way.
Always, man. I love it, man. I look forward to it. I'm sorry we had to postpone it to today from yesterday, but it worked out better for us both.
Yeah. I got homework. I'm going to have to go watch CW and Spider-Man. Spider-Mans.
Oh, the Spider-Mans, yeah. I highly recommend.
There's two, right? There's there's
2, and then there will be a third that's been they made a funny joke about it based on the fact apparently Tom Holland is not very good at keeping secrets.
Yeah.
So he's leaked like the names of the movie on the last couple times. And so they actually played into it on the preview for this one. They played into it and gave away everything.
I saw a preview of them. I don't know if it was a preview or just a teaser of him and his friends going, we have new names. He's like, yeah, we have to be relocated or something. It's witness relocation. And they're like, oh, great. Who are you going to be? He goes, I can't spoil it. And they're like, you?
Yeah, exactly. So there's apparently he has a very hard time keeping like that kind of information that he's supposed to keep quiet. So they actually played into it, and I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely check it out. I think he actually does a really good job with it. And if you get a chance, check out his lip sync. It really is phenomenal, I think.
Okay, I'll check it out. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of the podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, send your comments and replies to Treadaway at 1-800-EAT-IT. Make sure to roll it up in a $100 bill. He'll be sure to file it away properly. We take all comments seriously, by the way. Rate, review, subscribe, share this podcast with your friends. If you want to be part of the podcast, let us know. Reach out on the website, stuffiheard.com, and we'll go from there. All right. Thanks for being a part of this. And until next time, cue the cow.